Family Guy is a show that has quite a lot of problems, but Stewie Griffin isn't one of them.
Return my mind control device, or be destroyed.
Stewie Griffin changed for the better. This is an opinion of mine that I have had about Family Guy for years, and I will stand firmly on it. In the Family Guy fan base, one of the biggest complaints about the show is how, as the show goes on, the characters get worse. For example, Peter Griffin going from a well-meaning but idiotic and reckless father.
I stayed after school to try out for cheerleading.
Well, don't keep me in suspense. How'd you do?
I'll give you a hint. I S-U-C-K-E-D. Sucked.
Yay! I mean, sorry, honey.
To an abuser who cares about nobody but himself.
Thank you.
Or Meg, a once innocent teenage girl who was unfairly picked on but still had the potential to lead a full, happy life, to a sociopath who once tried to get her brother sexually assaulted in his sleep.
I was kind of gonna roofie you.
What? What is wrong with you?
Safe to say, the character changes in the show have been dramatic, and this includes Stewie Griffin. However, my argument that I'm going to be making today is that he not only changed for the better, but that he needed to change. Now, I'm fully aware that this is an unpopular opinion among Family Guy fans, especially those who favour the earlier seasons, roughly seasons 1 through 4, and honestly, I understand why. In those early years, the characters were arguably at their strongest. Even as the show began to exaggerate and dramatise certain traits, the Griffin family largely stayed true to who they were. So, for the most part, I do understand where people are coming from, but I don't when it comes to Stewie. When Stewie Griffin was first introduced, he was defined almost entirely by a single idea. He was a baby who was also an evil genius. He was violent, malicious, and shocking. And that shock value carried most of the humour surrounding his character. His storylines revolved around world domination, advanced weaponry, and of course, his desire to kill Lois.
And it's not so much that I want to kill her. It's just, I want her not to be alive anymore.
But while that concept was funny at first, and still does have its moments even in later seasons, it was also extremely limiting and repetitive. Early Stewie wasn't a character so much as he was a punchline, a one-note gag that relied heavily on surprise rather than depth.
Return the device, woman.
No toys, Stewie.
Very well then. Mark my words. When you least expect it, your uppance will come.
In this video, I want to take a closer look at early season Stewie to break down what didn't work and what felt underdeveloped, and why that version of the character ultimately had to go. Then I want to examine Stewie after his transformation, looking at how his new relationships, more character-driven storylines, and layered comedy not only improved him as a character, but helped turn him into one of the most compelling parts of Family Guy. And by the end, I want to make the case that Stewie Griffin is better because he changed. And if he had remained nothing more than an evil super baby, he would have worn out his welcome long ago. I'm going to be very upfront here. I did not enjoy Stewie's characters in the earlier seasons on rewatch. While watching, I constantly felt like I was waiting for something more interesting or dynamic to happen with his character, but it never really did. Everything always came back to the same idea. Stewie is an evil genius. Now, don't get me wrong, that trait does carry over into the later seasons as well. But the difference is that later seasons add far more depth and variety to the storylines and jokes that are built around that idea. In season 1, by comparison, it feels extremely flat to me. Almost every joke revolves around one of two things, either Stewie's intelligence being funny because he's a baby, or his hatred of Lois, while she remains completely unaware of what's going on. Would just like to insert something here, because listening back to this while editing, I realised that I sound very critical of the early seasons, which was not my intention. I love the early seasons. I love all of Family Guy, to be honest. But this video is Stewie centred, and while I'm not saying that he was a bad character in the beginning, all I'm saying is that if he didn't change and develop, he would have gotten really boring really quickly.
Wakey, wakey, worthless domestic. Time to make the inedible gruel.
As I mentioned earlier, the humour is fueled almost entirely by shock value,
Pay attention to me!
Ow!
rather than actual character depth. Narratively, in the earlier seasons, I think that it's fair to argue that Stewie functions more as a plot device than a fully realised character. Stewie is written as someone who hates nearly everyone around him. He despises Lois and wants her dead. He views Peter as an imbecile and barely interacts with him. He has almost no relationship with Meg or Chris at all, and even in what is arguably his deepest relationship at this point in the series, his relationship with Brian, Stewie makes it very clear that he sees Brian as an accomplice he tolerates. not someone he genuinely cares about or values.
Well, hold on a second.
Late season Stewie, however, is not an entirely different character, but he is simply a better written one. He still retains traces of the original genius and arrogance, but those traits are no longer the only interesting thing about him.
Hello?
Hey, is fat ass home yet?
Instead, Stewie becomes defined by an outlandish yet grounded personality, meaningful relationships and internal conflicts that seem realistic and relatable. His humor is far more developed. Rather than relying on shock value or the same reoccurring gimmicks, his comedy becomes a mix of sarcasm, social awareness, insecurity, and emotional contradiction.
I think it looks good.
You are just trying anything, aren't you? Just searching for an identity, man. And you think this is gonna be it, huh? Ah, God, whatever.
He's confident, yet always seeking approval and attention. He's brilliant and sophisticated, yet deeply childish. This growth in his character also leads to stronger relationships, most notably with Brian. Their dynamic shifts completely.
That idiot Slatten sent the dog?
They develop a deep connection and a sharp, engaging dynamic that allows for both strong comedy and genuinely fascinating storylines. This character development and development in this relationship specifically has been so successful that entire episodes are able to revolve solely around Stewie and Brian and still succeed, often becoming some of the highest rated episodes in the entire series. And while Family Guy is a show that often doesn't care much about continuity, the Stewie-Brian dynamic is something the audience can rely on to carry an episode.
What the?
The Road to episodes speak for themselves. Honestly, peak. Especially ones like Road to the Multiverse or Road to the North Pole, I just think are so beautifully written. Every scene is so creative. I just love everything about those episodes. They're genuinely two of my favorites. Well, I suppose three, because Road to the North Pole is a two-parter, but whatever. Stewie is now a vulnerable character, which makes him more relatable to the audience and seem more like a human being rather than just a gimmick. He experiences jealousy, fear of abandonment, identity confusion, but the show still doesn't abandon who he originally was. An evil genius baby. The only difference now is that they use the new traits they've developed to enhance both the jokes and the storytelling. At this point, Stewie can carry an episode because the audience is invested in who he is. That's the most important difference. Before, he felt like a tool to be used now and then discarded, but now he's a character we're genuinely fascinated by, not just someone that we laugh at occasionally and then move on.
You're my only friend, Brian. If I didn't have you, I'd be lost.
You'd be okay.
No, I wouldn't. I don't really care for anybody else, just you.
And that is my argument as to why Stewie Griffin needed to change.
That's a cool whip.
Thank you so much for watching. I want to do a follow-up video on this, maybe a little bit in the future, where I discuss specific storylines and compare them. This video, I just wanted to make more about how he is written better nowadays. To anyone who liked and subscribed and commented on my last video, thank you so much. It was just so surreal to see people actually wanting to talk about my video. It was just very, very cool. So yeah, thank you so much. If you want to like and subscribe or comment, I would really, really appreciate it, but of course no pressure at all. If you disagree with my opinion, please let me know. If you think there's anything I could have said better, or maybe I made a mistake in this video, please let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Also, I know this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I have 10 subscribers and I'm so happy. I feel like a celebrity. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.